when you think about it, we're not sitting around a water cooler anymore. We're not talking to our team members on an active day-to-day basis like we used to, or even overhearing some of the best sales pitches or hearing some of the ones that shouldn't be pitches at all. We're not getting that. Today, we're going to talk to you about how we can still improve and learn, and the idea of learning by osmosis. This is a fun episode. I think you're going to find some benefit, and hopefully you can learn a thing or two. Get it? No pun intended. All right, bad dad joke. Let's go ahead and start the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast here on TSC TV on YouTube. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm excited for another beautiful day. I'm excited to be here with you today. And here on this episode, we're going to talk to you about the importance of learning by osmosis, especially right now during this crazy time as we're getting back into the work environment. Many people are getting their shots and people are opening back up and they're running around and jumping on airplanes. But how can we continue to the idea of this learning by osmosis and why it's so critical? What exactly is it? My guest today, Zachary, is going to break this down. Now, Zachary is really cool. He worked for a company called Cast, and you're going to like what they do because it kind of relates to podcasts. It's about taking your podcast or taking a lot of the content that you produce and helping your sales team to be armed with the tools that they need so they can have content to share with everyone. It's brilliant, and I'm a big fan of podcasts. So we thought it would be great to talk about this topic, especially as their team became a remote team as well, and how they're tackling that and to thrive right now. Let's go back in to check out this episode, take your pens and paper out, and get some information. Zachary, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Donald.
You know, Zachary, before I do that, because I hate when people shorten your name and you're not supposed to. Is it Zach or Zachary? What do you
want to go with? I actually prefer Zachary. You're nailing it. It's perfect.
You see, I'm following. I mean, you're saying both too. People ask me if it's Don or Donald. Like, my dad has the shorter name. I'm a junior, so he's Don. They call him Donnie, or you might call Don, but I go by Donald. I just give me the original. So
yeah, give me the OG. My mom named me this way for a reason.
Right. Well, cool, man. Well, Zachary, tell us a little bit more about you, man. What you do right now, man.
Absolutely. So I run revenue for a company called Casted that I co-founded with our CEO, Lindsay Chepkema, and our Chief Product Officer, Adam Paterino. It is an amplified marketing platform built for businesses who have podcasts and videos that they're looking to get the most juice out of.
There you go. There's something power in that, man. Some great insights with that, and podcast is obviously a great platform to make that happen with. So
absolutely.
Well, neat, man. Well, let's talk about this idea of learning in osmosis. When people hear this, they're like, Donald, what exactly is that? If you were to break that down, tell us what is that exactly, and we could talk about it in further details.
Yeah, to me, learning by osmosis is that desktop chatter that you're not supposed to hear, right? When product's talking about some new feature or some other hang up and a salesperson walks by and just happens to hear the right thing at the right time to ask a deeper question. So when I think of learning by osmosis, we think about having an open office space and hearing our product team have their debates, or having marketing debate and our sales team picking up one little thing here, one little thing there to really piece it together.
Okay. And, I guess why is that idea so critical right now, especially as we're opening back after pandemic?
Because we lost it. We lost a lot of those moments. So for us, it's really important to, we're not going to go back full time in the office. People will have the option, but the option to go and hear something that you wouldn't otherwise hear, I think it's how you make a really smart and strong sales team versus, the stereotypical dumb sales guy, right? This allows them to be more informed in the product.
Yeah. So no, that does make a lot of sense there, where it's, you're getting educated more so on what's happening. I remember when I worked in an office, this was back in the days, fresh out of college. I worked in a company where we did we moved from a sectional type setup. We were all like isolated, and then we moved to a place where it's a little bit more of that open concept idea. And I can tell you, I learned a lot from our marketing folks, because once they were having conversation, two, walking by, and I was able to dive into the conversation, or they were able to ask questions. And the previous spot, the great thing about that, I was right next to the marketing team, which I did like, because then marketing was able to share things that they were learning, or other insights, and that was always helpful. And I was able to be on a fly on the wall, so to speak, with them, to develop more thoughts, and it helped a lot. But going back to this concept though, like learning, like some companies right now, they're saying that they are, like what you shared, like the idea of going back into the office space. I interviewed a gentleman recently, and a couple of folks in the recruitment space, and they've shared like, a lot of salespeople don't want to get back to that scenario of being back in the office. And I think this is one of those elements that just gets so lost with that. Let's talk about that for a second. How have you seen that impact companies?
So I think that there's this really long-standing belief that like your sales team needs to be on the road, they need to be knocking on doors, they need to be like getting into these in-person meetings, and we lost that for the last let's call it 18 months or so. It's not been that long, but close enough. And so I think that people are like, let's get them back in the field. I don't necessarily know that I agree with that. I think that this last year has really taught a team how to sell remotely, how to be impactful, how to not waste time, theirs or others. And so what I'm more looking forward to is not getting my sales team back out in the field, but rather keeping them home in our office space. Maybe not permanently. Again, I think the 5-day a week in the office thing died over the last year, if it hadn't already before then. But I think really I want an educated sales team. I really want them to be intentional and able to uncover real problems. I think when you get people in the field, they miss a product release here, they miss a new marketing blast here. Next thing you know, they're about 6 months behind what they should be. And they start to build this kind of stereotypical pitch that is scripted and not intentional, because they're not learning the new problems that we're solving, and they don't necessarily know how to solve those problems really well anymore, because maybe we've changed our best practice, or maybe we've developed something new. So from my perspective, salespeople not wanting to go back to the office, it's got two sides to that coin. I don't think that anyone should go back to the office necessarily 5 days a week or anything like that, but you're really hurting yourself. I mean, you can get a sales enablement platform all day, but you're gonna miss some of the anecdote. You're gonna miss some of the just the nuance to hearing a developer say, yeah, it's really cool, we built this feature because XYZ. Usually you just see, we built this feature and you have to learn the feature, but knowing why and how and the struggles with it, it adds a layer to your understanding of a product or a company.
Yeah. And I'm conflicted too. I think certain departments may be beneficial. Well, every company is different. And every situation is they're different. There's no, I don't think there's a beautiful thing about a podcast like this is that there's no right or wrong answer that people can take and leave with and say, like, this is the Rosetta Stone is written in a Rosetta Stone, so this is the law now. I think what you're sharing there's a human element that even if it's not now, I imagine there's the next generation that will come after the pandemicers who will want that Renaissance idea. I know they weren't in a workplace. So maybe it's the folks in high school right now, maybe they're not going to want the workplace of remote, but they want to be with that. So maybe it's post to Gen Zs or Gen Zs for Gen Zers. But I just feel that there's something that's going to be longer, because that's how human cycles work, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea of working remote, we've never done this in history. So it's kind of like, I mean, we have, but like very, not as to the scale where it's at right now. But I think culturally we will crave those attention and want to get back to that in some way, shape, or form. And there's a lot of added benefits, like the fact that I could work with my team that has someone on the other side of the world or someone on the other side of the country that can still get the job done, that I don't have to ship and move to Florida. That right. Is just like, that's amazing when it's said and done. So I think even for us, like internally right now, we have a younger sales team. So as we have our BDRs, they're here with me, and there's something about that osmosis learning where they're able to hear me have a conversation and to be able to develop that conversation. And I think if we had more seasoned sellers, perhaps that may be a little bit more, but they love it and we love it. And we sometimes, we have a situation that cause it not allowed to come to work, but we can still get the job done remotely. But there's something about that camaraderie and that excitement of being together that works for our team on that side. Some of our other team members don't necessarily need to be here, and that's been they can get the job done without necessarily having to step foot in an office.
I'm glad you brought up SDRs, honestly, because we onboarded all of our sales development team remotely, and we have an awesome team. We've had promotions on the team. It's been really great, but I think they're the ones that really got the short end of the stick here from Osmosis. You're usually maybe earlier in your career, or, you are trying to angle for that sale, and because of the pandemic, we're not pulling our SDRs. This is just our choice onto those early calls or doing handovers or anything like that. So they're missing out on some of that nuance, or like, well, how does this sales guy do it? Or how about this saleswoman? How is she handling these things? And so I feel like they really we're thrilled. Our SDR team rocks, and they've onboarded themselves essentially in a really amazing way. But I worry what we're like taking from them by not having them like next to the sales team or next to the marketing team or anything along those lines. And they're really the tip of the spear. And if sales development wasn't hard enough, you put it in when everyone's remote, and it got exponentially harder. So like you're hearing no, and you're home alone. Like it just sucks. So I can't wait to get them back into the office.
You're like, crap, I don't want to do anything for the next hour now.
Right.
I'm going to go on a Slack channel and get some picker upper. But no, I think there's something fascinating with that. Like, in one of the things that we do on our team is when someone does have a great call, after every call, we will say, like, in the sales, we don't have like a huge team out there. There's 4 sellers or 3 sellers out there on our BDR team, a small company. But they will say, was that meaningful, right? And then they'll say, yes, and here's the reason why it was meaningful. Or I love that line that you shared there. And now those are content that we can use for like upcoming training meetings to discuss, because now it's heard and it's real life, and it's in the moment, and it just makes such a huge difference. We had one of our guys who got on a phone for the first time last week, did a call. We videotaped him making a call. And did a recording of him, video recording, and we had fun with it, and it was cool, and he was excited, and he sound good because he's been soaking in things from the others, but now when his turn to get on the phone, he was able to execute it, and it was good.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I think that's what we missed. I mean, we onboarded half of our outbound team, our actual sales team during the pandemic as well, and we had 2 established AEs, and we were really excited for them to help teach because they had done such a great job. Yeah. And we didn't get the opportunity to really hand over that in a way that was as impactful as we were hoping.
How do you manage that though in a remote situation? What can we do to still foster some kind of osmosis learning in some way? Or what are the ways you guys are doing? Let's put you guys on the pedestal here.
Don't put us on the pedestal. I'm not sure that we're doing a great job of it, but we are very cognizant of it. We did a lot of shadowing. We're kind of a regional based sales team. So we had like an East Coast, West Coast. And then as we brought in 2 new sellers, we split those. And so we said, okay, East, you're getting shadowed. West, you're getting shadowed. And I think that helped a little bit, but if call volume was low, or if opportunities weren't flowing, then you could have weeks where you're only seeing 2, 3, 4 calls. And, in some cases we're closing behind the scenes. We're not always having a structured call. There could be like a text message or just a one-off cell phone call. You're not going to invite your friend onto that to shadow. So I feel like those are the things we kind of missed. But we started doing just kind of pop-up like Zoom meetings. For a while, we kind of fell off that recently, but we had our team chat, and someone would just spin up a Zoom and just be like, hey, I'm just working on, prospecting today. If you guys want to chat while I'm doing it, like I'll jump on and we'll have a conversation about whatever you want to talk about. And oftentimes it was, how are you doing? How's life? How are you hanging in there? But there were a lot of times where someone would say, hey, I've got a question that I saw on the platform, or, I was in Gong and saw someone demo this that I've never seen before. Can you explain that to me? And those were really enriching, just to have Zoom open and just kind of go about your workday, not feel the pressure to, be on camera or structure it. But you have to be consistent to really get the impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a critical piece there, being consistent. And I think that's so, the culture needs to be, they needs to have the autonomy, or the individuals on the team needs to have the autonomy and to be a part of the culture that that's possible, that you can do that you can act rather than waiting to be acted upon, for the team leader to put together a Zoom meeting, but just chatting as friends and as, colleagues. It's that water cooler conversation. Can I still, you were going to do it in the sales floor anyways, as you're making calls, you're going to be talking about stuff like, for instance, these guys are out here talking about Shiba and Dogecoin. Like, so it's like, you can still have that engagement while you're doing it. And I think some people just don't think, because Zoom is on, like, you have to be on. Like, it's okay to have Zoom and just have it. It's almost like music in the background where you can have people. And I think it's gamers do this well, where they're playing a game, and there may be a bunch of them on a call and they're just chatting. It's that similar concept there.
We actually did a lot of that during the pandemic. This is a side tangent, but we started a Discord server for our actual, like, anyone who plays games at our company. And that actually was crazy enriching. We just got a few people in there, some SDRs, you got a salesperson in there. And sometimes you talk about work, most of the time you don't. And it was just one of those things where I think everyone was just missing something. And so we were like, anyone who can talk, please come.
Come, you're live. Talk to me. And I think, there's a lot of power, a lot of pros, a lot of cons, and I think we're just all figuring this thing out and trying to get past it. What tip do you have for a sales rep that's probably feeling like I missed that learning? I'm the SDR, I'm on your team, I want to get that learning, I want to get that stuff, besides the fact of jumping on Zoom. But what advice would you give me to help me to continue improving on my education or my skills, considering the fact I can't meet in person?
Yeah, let someone know. I think it was first, it's a lot easier to read someone in person, and we can't read everyone's minds. So sometimes I don't know if someone's hurting or not hurting, right? And so we had one rep, and she was just very honest and was like, I am not getting what I need here. I was like, I had no idea. Thank you for telling me, because now we can work on, what do you need? How are we going to do this together? How are we going to build this? So first tip is just tell someone, I think. And then after that, work within the team. Don't always rely on management. It is management's responsibility. And if you're feeling alone, like, definitely they need to know, but also work with the team. I think everyone's willing to help right now. Everyone wants to be connected in some way. So it's really great for me to find out that, like, our sales team has a meeting without me. I don't need to be on every meeting. They have a players only meeting that they do. And it's like, great. I don't know what you guys talk about. I don't give a shit. Like, please just go get everything out and, like, work on whatever you guys are building there.
Yeah. I like that players only meeting. Like, just make it happen, figure it out, have fun. So that's great, man. Do a little bit brag about your company real quick. Tell us a little bit more about you guys before you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cassid was built on the idea that your content shouldn't be recorded and then let die. So we basically built this company. Lindsay had an amazing idea to take podcast content for businesses and really amplify it in a way that was never done before. We've been really lucky in that we have customers that are Drift and Salesforce and PayPal and some of these premier players in the space. Gong.
A lot of small companies.
Yeah, a lot of teeny tiny little companies. HubSpot is a big customer of ours as well. And so we just raised our Series A few months ago. And we're just excited. We're excited to build out a new category that we call amplified marketing, and to get more and more people into the platform and singing our praises. We've had an amazing year, despite the year really sucking. We did all right. And so we were really fortunate and very privileged to have the opportunity to do that. So.
I mean, there are several times in history where podcast was like around, or Serial came around and made a huge, big push for podcasts. But I think the pandemic also as well, and it put it in a whole different category where it's not just a consumer, but the brands are recognizing it. One, the internal podcast to help our teams, and then two, with the external of being able to attract more people to our brand that we can't necessarily connect with in the way that we did before. So disseminating information out there, and I really like that. Yeah, we have our TSC Studios is the company to produce our stuff. It's my organization as well, but it's TSC Studios has been growing, and a lot of it has just been referrals. Like we have
awesome.
barely been doing anything prospecting wise, and it just goes back to showing what you're saying. Like, there's something about it. So if you guys have content and your team's out there, I would recommend you guys go connect with Zachary and their team. They're doing some amazing things, and be friends. But Zach, if they want to get in touch with you, how do you go about doing so?
We have an adorable
Zachary.
cat on our
Zachary, not
website.
Zachary.
I forgive you. We have this adorable cat on our website named Podcat in the form of a drift bot. That's probably the easiest. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I get 1 million connection requests a day at the current rate, so I might be a little slow. But our website is the best way. That's casted.us.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll take some of this information and we'll fix it, put it on the show notes so folks can get access to you. But we appreciate you taking the time, Zachary, to come on the show today and enjoy the beautiful Midwest up there for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Donald. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. That was the one and only Mr. Zachary. If you want to go ahead and connect with Zachary, you can find all of his information down below. We have some links connecting back to his company, as well as back to his social media, to LinkedIn. And I recommend you connect with them because all of our guests, I mean, you think about it, you have these people who are doing amazing things in their company. They're coming on this podcast, they're being friends with you, and they're telling you to connect with them. I mean, why don't you? These people could be opportunities for you, maybe for business, or you can probably have networking opportunities to, maybe connect them with someone in the future, or maybe there's opportunity for you to get a job with them. I mean, you never know. Don't burn these bridges. Take advantage of it. Build some bridges. I share the stuff and I tell you about our sponsors too. And listen, if you ain't taking a part of those deals, taking advantage of those deals that sponsors are giving, something wrong with you, man, because they're giving us some amazing offer. We negotiated stuff with them. We tell them if you're going to sponsor the podcast, here's what we want. And they came and they delivered with it. So I want to make sure you take advantage of these tools. Test them out. That's what's the worst that could happen. You try something and it didn't work out, but at least you got it for a really ridiculous price. And on the upside, what if you try it and it totally revolutionized the way that you're selling? This is why I tell you to check out our sponsors. As always, I share stuff like this because I want you to thrive. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to be able to close more deals. But most importantly, I'm doing this because I want you to go out each and every single day and do big things. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.